Okay, folks. All right, it is 5 o'clock on Monday, May the 20th, and we're calling this meeting to order. The BEDC Board reserves the right to reconvene, recess, or realign the regular session or call an executive session in order of business at any time prior to adjournment. So we are calling it to order. And public comments. Do we have any public comments at this time?
No, sir, I do not have any.
Okay, very good. We'll get to the other ones later. Oh, can we turn these monitors on up here on the dais, please? Thank you. Okay, very good. We will now go on to 3A, workshop and possible action to discuss the BEDC budget and plan of work for fiscal year 2025.
Good afternoon, Board. It feels like we just talked about the budget, and you did. Last month, we just had a budget amendment given the reduction of sales tax. That is where we're going to pick up today. At our last meeting, Board Member Lee had some concerns about the staffing and what that would do to fund balance and that. So it'll be itemized today so you can see that total final number of what actually falls to fund balance. You'll see the remaining projects that are encumbered. You had some questions before on what was actually encumbered, where was it showing up on the balance sheet. Since working with Member Urbanek, we've switched things around so that you are actually looking at what appears to be a balance sheet and then what appears to be a checking account budget so that we keep things separate. We're no longer mixing capital and operating expenses.
Okay, but this is for discussion purposes, correct? This
Correct.
Is not a final.
It is for
Okay.
discussion purposes. We are here to take notes. We're here to take direction. We will also come up with a work plan, and the work plan really is just super basic. It gives us an idea of where we should be heading for the year. It gives us an idea of perhaps if we need to reallocate funds or move some of the budget around, we can move toward those priorities.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So the first item is the proposed budget for fiscal year 25. For those of you new to this, we always feel like we're a year ahead. Some boards and commissions like for me to say FY 25-26 because it is 24 into 25, 25 into 6. This is 24 into 25, hence it's the FY 25 budget. And we do start on an October 1 start date. We have proposed revenues of $1.4 million with proposed expenses of $1.36 million. Those are itemized in your budget, the budget in your packets, and the vast majority of those expenses are going to be, as customary, personnel and operations, and the next slide will go through itemized detail for that. So moving over to what is our capital expense account, we have a beginning fund balance of $10.3 million. It's a healthy fund balance. We have the $76,000 that's remaining at the end of next year if everything goes according to plan and we spend every single dollar, which is seldom the case. And then we have an estimated ending fund balance at $5.75. That estimated fund balance is, again, assuming all of the projects get completed and that gets drawn down to that much. Yes, there are projects that are in there that this board has been discussing that may change that amount. So if anything, these are on the low end as we go through the budget year, and funds that are unexpended fall to fund balance. Okay. We itemize the personnel costs and annual salaries, and we itemize what is retirement. The city pays Texas Municipal Retirement. Bastrop EDC staff is also enrolled in the Texas Municipal Retirement System. It is a 2-to-1 match, meaning for every $1 the employee puts in, BEDC puts in $2. It is also a 7%. It is a defined contribution, defined benefit, meaning the employee will know, they can run an estimate, essentially what their retirement costs would be. The city from a budgeting perspective and the EDC from a budgeting perspective, we know what retirement costs will be based on a formulary. So those total to $293,763. In the budget, we rounded that up to $295,000.
Sylvia, let me ask you a question
Yes.
on this new position. When is that going to go out on the marketplace as far as the public announcement or whatever?
It's posted.
It is okay.
It is posted.
Okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
where is it posted?
The city posted it first. It's to EDC and LinkedIn. We've already got one person interested.
Oh, super. Okay, thank you.
We will do a social media post toward the middle of the posting and continue to market and push out.
Are you all considering also putting it on TML?
We can, that's normally Tanya. I will check if that's, will you check with Tanya to see if that's her?
Okay.
Yeah,
thank
she may already have, but I'll check with HR.
you. Okay, thank you.
TML is sort of that, I call it ESPN, the Ocho. Unless you're in local government, you don't really know it's there. So, but the folks that would apply through TML normally have municipal government or local government experience or this type of EDC experience.
How long has it been posted?
4 or 5 days?
Oh, just recently.
Wednesday or
Very
Thursday,
recent.
yes.
And how long do we anticipate leaving the posting up?
I would say, depending on first review of applicants, we usually look at the third week, 21 days, see how many folks are out there. If it's not getting enough hits, we will boost the post. It's cheaper to boost on Facebook than it is to boost on LinkedIn. And then it'll depend, hopefully not more than 30 days, but
And if we still only have the one applicant?
so far I haven't checked.
No, I'm saying if we do still only at that, let's say 30 days are gone, we still only have that one applicant, are we going to just consider that one applicant, or are we
I would
going
not
to?
like to consider
Right,
just one.
exactly.
Yeah, no,
So then that would push us probably maybe
yes,
60 to 90 days.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good point, Cheryl. I would not want to go with just one applicant. We need to have, extend that out to find the right person.
All right. My little clicker's not working. Okay. So this goes through the fund balance detail. We start with the 10,399. We have the encumbrances land rebates, which is AE Technologies. That one hasn't closed out, and it is really just a jobs issue. There's one last job. There is Technical Adhesives, who are well on their way. We expect a certificate of occupancy from them by the end of summer. Project Fiesta, we will discuss today in executive session. Mocha Ventures, there is the $1,089,000, which is the Accutronic land purchase. There is the $1 million, which is the Accutronic infrastructure improvements. Then we have the $1 million contribution to Blakey Lane, which was reduced from 1.2 or so. And then we have the intersection improvement project at 207,500. Plus the $76,000 from the budget, and that is a projected fund balance end of fiscal year 25 at 5.735. And that is assuming a pretty flat revenue rate. We were not aggressive in our sales tax projection because it has been pretty flat.
Sylvia, the intersection improvements has been in the budget for a couple of years now. Can we have a status update on that briefly, or maybe at the next time we meet?
I'll bring
or
it at
something?
next meeting. They are underway, and if 75% of that hasn't been expended, I would be surprised. I'll bring an update.
Okay, thank you very much.
Next slide, please, Colin. Oh, I'm sorry, go back a slide. Any questions on the budget itself?
Well, actually, yes. I know we're not there yet, but what I don't see here is, are we going to be putting some kind of set aside of funds for this sports complex? We've been talking about it. Obviously, we're not where we need to be, but shouldn't there be some amount of funds allocated, and we don't need to have the exact
Yep.
answer today, but
There's $25,000 in professional services in the line item in the notes for, it's a placeholder for potential board training or consultants or et cetera.
But that's the total amount, is 25,000?
Only 25,000, yes. And then we have contingency also of $25,000.
Okay,
Oh, 50,000, my bad.
thank you.
Sylvia, on the administrative support, it seems like it's been 25,000 for the last several years, and there was going to be like 6 employees that were housed somewhere else, and I know it's a hassle to keep IT up when it's a different building and all of that. But with going down to 2 employees and they're going to be co-shared, has that number been scrubbed? The chair indicated that that was a contractual number, and that's why it was in that way.
It has not been scrubbed, but yes, that is in our support services contract with EDC, but we're happy to look at that. So city shared services and city administrative support, that's the same question I asked. So city shared services are things like Microsoft licenses, things like Adobe, the Muni code, all of the things that we use software-wise that keep us running functionally, licensing essentially. And then administrative support is the actual function itself. So two completely different, but yes, we can scrub those further.
On the, and I may have misread the notes, but it says new shared occupancy space in City Hall. That made me think the quote-unquote rent, or however you would say that, was included in the 20, but that doesn't sound like that's what you said.
No, I meant like the copiers and
So this note is not into, shouldn't say?
shared occupancy space, yes, but when they're shared here, there are network printers and things that we'll be using.
It just said, and also now shared occupancy space in City Hall. So that.
Oh, no, that does not include the rent, I'm sorry. Oh, no. Sorry. City administrative support is the actual function. City shared services, yes, that 20,000 is a portion of rent, which I don't know what that portion is, but it's, very little office space, 2 people. And then things like the networks, things like the network printers, things like the licensed seats.
And that's how I read the budget based on the note, and that's why it made sense to me that it went from 10 to 20, because it was, instead of just using the shared licenses, that would include physically being here. But is that somebody guessing, or do you guys reserve the right to re-scrub, to make sure you've cut? The last time we talked about it, you said y'all were working on a model for the actual cost per person of being in the office, was kind of what I understood.
We're not complete with that model, but we are in the process of moving utilities folks out. So utilities folks will move to the drive-through, the bank drive-through on Water Street. There's 5 spaces available here, and I sort of, at this point, it's a sunk cost. There's people work here, they'll be replaced by new people here. Development services will move over a little bit, but the plan is to give EDC a place where they can cohabitate and co-work with the development services staff who will be in the same shared space. So I didn't try to gouge EDC because for me it's a sunk cost. I know I have to recoup some, but I was trying not to be too aggressive.
Okay, well, and that, the 10,000 going to 20,000, to me, that's a whole lot cheaper than paying rent, and also I think easier for IT and all the other shared services if people are physically in the same building. So I just didn't know if that was a finalized number or if that was a best guess, given that it's May and y'all are just starting on the budget process.
So Board, what I will do is I will provide Sylvia with the latest and greatest versions of both shared services, admin services, also Main Street for that matter. Those are all contractual service agreements that would need to be amended, updated, revisited in order to bring down the cost.
All right, do we need to schedule some kind of a work group, a budget workshop?
With the city council or?
Well, I guess we can do that in executive committee, but I was thinking that we might want to spend some time going over this and making sure that we've cleaned it all up before it goes to.
And we've got several months before the budget is adopted. We'll be revisiting it again, so you'll have time to take it home, process it. The only change that would come back to you as an additional expense that would require a contract is the additional $5,000 to Community Action Agency as they support the workforce initiative. But in terms of everything else, we try to keep things flat or reduce it as much as possible. Okay, that takes us into the work plan. So the work plan should have an objective, we should have some tasks, and then we should have, you should understand what the desired outcome of that task is and what we expect our timeline to be for those things. Just off of simple discussion that I've had with the executive committee and this board, I know that we have the sports complex in play. I know that we want to complete all of the existing contracts that we have in the park and put them on a path for completion or make the necessary decisions to terminate. We want to continue the business expansion and retention through education, outreach, and marketing. And I know that we want to continue with the facilitation of projects along the city development continuum. Is there any other objectives that I may have missed or tasks that you would like to see to complete these 4 objectives?
So I have a question, question and some things that maybe we can add. So I've been researching what shovel-ready means, and a lot of our projects where we say the BEDC will say we'll get it up to this point to make it shovel-ready, and then the developer will do the rest. But what I'm reading and finding is shovel-ready means shovel-ready, that all they have to do is start building. What's the difference between, or is there a difference between what actual shovel-ready is? Because that's what to me, shovel-ready means the infrastructure is already there, the electricity is already there, just you buy the land and start building. But I hear a lot of us on the board, we're always saying, well, we're going to get the infrastructure up to this point, then they got to do the rest.
Well, I will say from the points of what this city considers shovel-ready, we have consistently said development was going to pay for itself. And as part of the negotiations for contracts, I think most of us have decided that, okay, well, it's good to have a partnership. I know I have to give something in order to incentivize and sort of be the catalyst. How much that something is really is what this board has to make the decision of. What is shovel-ready for this board may be completely different than what is shovel-ready for the city, given what the revenue constraints are. Most of the time, what a developer will want to be sure of is that there is adequate room for them to come in. And by room, I mean we have the availability to serve water and we have the availability to serve wastewater. Those are probably the 2 biggest things. And electric, because electric quickly is far, the grid is far being outpaced by how fast we can upgrade things. Fiber is a private service, they'll bring it no matter what. And gas is a private service, they'll bring it no matter what. So between water, wastewater, and electric, those are probably the 3 biggest, most expensive ones. Storm, they have to design it. So I can't necessarily understand, understanding what type of storm. I know what our code says, pre and post must equal, but how they get to the equal could be a very creative, very expensive measure. So for me, when we say shovel-ready as a city, we're really in control of 2, maybe 3 things. And the third maybe is the electric, because we're only a portion of the park is in BP&L, and then the other portion is in Bluebonnet.
So where I guess I'm going with this is if businesses are interested in coming to Bastrop, is that how they see it? Or do they see it as we advertise this shovel-ready and they think, okay, that land's got all it needs and we're just there to build. We're going to buy the land and build.
Of course, yeah, of course, every developer's going to come in and want to do that. When we have discussions, it's normally the land is priced at this dollar amount per square foot because it is only X amount shovel-ready. Or if it was completely shovel-ready, that cost would be 3 and 4 times that amount because of the investment that it takes to get there. So I don't want to say it's a game of cat and mouse, but it really is. Obviously, they want to maximize the return on the property, and they maximize that return by having that cost shared by multiple parties, whether that's going to be us in the city or just EDC, and it just depends. So I can't give you one blanket statement because it's completely different. Everybody who sits in front of me is completely different based on location and their need.
But if we advertise parcel as shovel-ready, I guess I'm just trying, I hear what you're saying. I guess I'm just trying to understand if a business wanted to come and we were advertising this property as shovel-ready, and then they get here and they're like, oh, this ain't shovel-ready. I still got to put in money to do X, Y, and Z, and there's no infrastructure, and I want to be up and running in a year, and this is not shovel-ready. Does that have a negative impact?
Well, let me take a crack at that one, if you don't mind, Cheryl. I mean, first of all, we don't know what the requirements are, and let's pick power for just a second, okay? Accutronics, as an example, may have a very big power consumption rate, but then you have another company that's not doing that doesn't have the same. So we have no idea what the power rate is. The issue is there electricity available? Yeah, there is. But we're not going to have a site that we theoretically go, oh, it's only going to need so many watts of power. It's going to need this size of water line or that size of sewer line. No, you can't do that. Okay, shovel-ready right now, as was explained, we've got the roads already in. We have all the utilities ready. So, but not ready per site because we don't know who's going to come. And so that's why shovel-ready may have a different connotation to different cities. There's a lot of industrial parks that are already built up. The buildings are there, the electricity's there, the water's there, and if you fit in that, site, then you can go there. But if you don't fit, you're going to have to build something else. We didn't choose to do that. It's open land. We've got the roads in already. We've got lift stations. We've got water. We've got sewer. We have power outlets. We have utilities ready. But until we know what the business is going to be,
we don't know if
we
we're going
don't
to
know.
have to
And
change.
so it doesn't make sense for us to spend the money to put in power requirements when we don't know what it's
Okay,
going to be.
that makes sense. So the reason why I ask is I go back to what I've always been asking for is us to be able to understand how much revenue we're generating from every single parcel of land. And I know that it's been mentioned that we want to get to that place, but I'd like that to be one of our goals. I still think that Bastrop is just, the city is just so weird. The borders are so weird. And I know there's land, and you look at it and you think there's no land anywhere to build anything. And I'm moving away from the industrial park because I think there are opportunities in other parts of Bastrop that we could capitalize on, but we don't know where those locations are to be able to even consider them to market for development and retail and businesses. So I'd still like to see us move into a space where we can identify where there is available land that could be marketed and sold, and then find out what the status of that land is, if it's shovel-ready, and what it would take to make it shovel-ready, so that we can market those areas.
Well, and that is actually part of the job description of this new person that we're hiring. You're exactly right. We have the land, we know what it is, we obviously sell it, so we know what revenue we're going to get. We can only estimate tax revenue, we can only estimate property tax revenue. But you're right, one of the things that we're going to be asking for this new person to do, and it's in the job description, is to go out and seek what other lands are available, because you're right, we've only got so much land and that's it. Yeah, and that would be privately held, so we need to understand that. So that's
Yeah.
actually part of the job
That,
description.
and then conducting research on retail recruitment, because there are some retail stores that are downsized to smaller stores. They're going from the big box to smaller stores that we might be able to recruit. We have a whole different group of people moving in here that might interest some retail developers in developing in Bastrop, but we don't know what they are. And I'm assuming that person would then be responsible for that, or I think that should be a goal, is that we're actively looking for what developers or what stores or what retails would work in Bastrop.
Well, and that's a very interesting point. I think one thing that you have to realize is that developers are going to come in and put in the shops. They are the ones that are going to go out and get the tenants, whether it's the anchor tenants or the other people coming in. They have the ability to come talk to us to give us their idea of what's going to come in, but we don't dictate what comes in. You know, we can make suggestions, but it's really the developer's responsibility, because they own the land. They're the ones putting up all the money to build the buildings, to put the tilt wall buildings up and that kind of stuff. Their responsibility is to go and get tenants. It's not ours.
No, I kind of disagree with that, because I've watched a lot of workshops on it. We as a city, or as BEDC, can actively recruit. We can go out and see what's out there in the market and what would work in Bastrop and actively pursue businesses to come. And we do that by having a solid marketing plan, by vamping our website. That's another one I wanted to add, revamping our website to attract businesses. So we can say we can sit back and they'll come to us, but we should be actively pursuing businesses as well, and I'd like for that to be a focus. And we do that by someone literally actively researching retail, restaurants, bars, whatever, to see where they're actually building in terms of population comparison, and then we actively pursue them. Because we got enough hamburger places. How many more hamburger joints are going to come? And you hear people every day saying, I want this, I want that, I want this business. Why can't we get this steakhouse? We can actively pursue them too.
So let me jump in. There is, it's not exactly perfect as you said, and so you guys are like halfway in between, because there are companies who do that. They're called site selectors. And so what we do as a city is we've engaged Retail Coach, we have the Esri business analyst, we have all of the data. They are engaged by the Applebee's of the world and everybody else, and they say, I'm looking for a population of X, Y, and Z, and it needs to have A, B, and C. And so what you're talking about is correct. Our pamphlets say, this is Bastrop. This is a picture of Bastrop. This is what we have. This is what we have to offer, and it's readily available. So yes, we can slap that on the internet and make it easier for those site selectors when they come in to be able to find that information. Yes, absolutely true. But I've worked in a city where we go to ICSC, which is the International Shopping Center thing. It's normally in Las Vegas. It's a big party. Everybody's there. Lots of deals happening in separate back rooms on, if I come to Bastrop, what are you going to be able to give me? Can you give me this? Can you give me this? I mean, it really feels like an auction of cattle. Nobody has the ability to go in and promise any one particular thing until we get into the devil of the details, and that's normally where the deals fall apart. It's easy for us to go and promise, and this is my pretty glossy, and this is what we do. It's when we get here and we begin to sort of open that pretty package that looked like a wonderful Christmas present that turned out to be a little robot that didn't work and has an international set of batteries none of us can get. So yes, we can do some improvement on putting our stuff out there and improving our reach. If you'd like, what I can do is we can hold a workshop about site selectors and invite a couple who, that's their job. That's what they do. They get engaged by the companies at very high rate of dollars to come in and do the research about Bastrop. And we meet with those site selectors weekly as part of our development review meeting, and it's mostly at this point where we are with water and sewer across central Texas, we met with somebody the other day. It really is a matter of, this is how much water I need. Can you provide that? And jobs be damned, everything else be damned. This is the amount of water I need. Can you commit that amount of water? And the answer on a lot of it is no, I can't. Maybe 4 years down the road, as we look at regional water sources and partnering with our partners and begin reusing effluents and all that other good stuff. But that right now is the number one question. And then jobs and everything else are secondary. Let's say we can pass the water test and we can pass the wastewater test. Because you can't flush a toilet without water, right? So this is the first one. And then we meet the wastewater test. And then we know electric can be met. It's just an expensive proposition. Then it becomes, okay, where am I going to get the workforce? And what do I need to do? And so it's a multi-tiered approach. We do it every single week. But I'm happy to bring a site selector who can do a workshop with you guys and kind of explain what they do in the background before they even get to us.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
One other point that I'd make is that times it's not like the good old days where the site selectors are driving around. There will be people that it comes from both ends. There's people passing on us or deciding to come see us, and we don't even know, because they're cruising the website, and not just our website. They're checking out lots of things, and the businesses have decided they're opening 10 stores in the southwestern portion of the United States, and they're going to be, so sometimes we're already off the list. And to Sylvia's point, ICSC, where I think I did 55,000 steps in 12 hours, 6
okay.
hours.
If you've been,
Yeah.
please explain.
And when I went,
I need a shower after I leave.
oh, it was a lot of walking. But one of the biggest things of the whole purpose of that trip was people who don't live in Texas cannot believe that Bastrop has a retail trade area with 300,000 people. Like that their brains don't connect. So you have to show the map, and you have to say, okay, you live in Giddings. Are you going to drive to Houston? Are you going to drive to Austin? Or are you going to drive to Bastrop? And then you're able to back that up with the site selectors on things like, that's why people are shocked that we have Home Depot and Lowe's. There's a reason. And when you already have those
And Tractor
anchors.
Supply and McCoy's.
And a James Avery
Yeah.
and a Hobby Lobby.
Yeah.
And sometimes just having those buildings make other site selectors start looking at you, because they're going to leverage off some of the work that's already been done. I would caution you against saying we have enough hamburger places and or my all-time favorite Mexican food places, because the reason we have them is because people eat at them. And the ones that we have, when they've got limes wrapped around the store the whole time, that's why they're here. There's supply and demand. So I very much support everything you said. It's kind of between if we just had the right package, they'd all be here. They're all looking anyway.
Yeah.
And the utilities, the power, it may be yes, but it may also the
Expensive.
lead time on some of that
Oh,
equipment,
yeah, the
regardless
transformers
of
are
the
18
cost.
months. Transformers are 18 months. And then to add another level of complexity to
And,
what...
and we may have wastewater treatment available for you, but what are
No
you
water.
putting in our
Yeah.
wastewater
Yeah,
that we have
exactly.
to treat? That's another discussion as well.
And to Board Schrader's point, the other level of complexity is often these retailers are bundled packages. It's no secret that you see an Ulta with the TJ Maxx. It's no secret that you see a Home Goods with the TJ Maxx. They're bundled packages. Because I promise you, what is going into Burleson East, if you drive to Sunset Valley, same bundle. I promise. With a little bit of the mixture of the local flavor. And so what we see in Pearl River, Sendero. What we see in Sendero is also they're sort of packaged, because those site selectors know that they bundle those stores because they have the same audience and the propensity to draw. Now, to your point, what do we have different? And I think I told you guys this before, the DSW in Sunset Valley was one of the first that decided it was going to offer alcohol service, because it figured out that because I can shop online for shoes, I can't have a glass of wine online. So they figured out that if they mixed some of those, Angela says, they figured out that if they mix some of those services, and so what you will see is retailers try a little bit of this. The Kohl's trying the Sephora, and it worked wonderfully for Kohl's. So the magic is in the details, but that's also where the devil lies too. So, but I'm happy to bring a site selection group so that you can kind of understand when we're looking for a city, who is it that we first reach out to, and why did we pass on your city, and why didn't we even look? Okay.
So, was that the end of your list, Cheryl? Since we're, and I very much see that you said this was the starting point, but since this, my understanding that this work plan would match the budget, correct? So it's for
Correct.
an entire year?
Correct.
So I love that you did engage a consultant to create the RFQ, but I would like to know what you think is reasonable to be accomplished in a year and in the entire fiscal year, because that's still 6 months out. So we're looking at what do we think we can get done in the next 18 months? And obviously, starting with a consultant is one thing, but I would hope that we would have executed the RFQ, or, like, how many of the next steps do you think should belong in the work plan to be reasonable?
So I would back my way back. So if the desired outcome is that we have an RFQ on the street in 6 months, then I will align the tasks to match that. And so that's my question to the board. On the sports complex, what would you like the desired outcome to be? Because then I align the tasks to that.
Well, and I guess I'm asking on the other side of the RFQ, what are the next steps, and is it possible to get those done in 18 months?
I don't want to speak for Brendan, but I know he's already having conversations even before our stuff is finalized out. So I can send that. We're supposed to have a conversation later this week. I can send that, and for our next executive board meeting, I'll have that information fleshed out.
Because we actually had talked about a potential feasibility study that I don't see in here. So yes, when we
Oh,
have our
okay.
next,
Yes, I
when we
will
have
add
our
that.
next meeting on Monday with the executive, then followed on by the sports complex meeting.
So
Be nice to
under
have that.
engage a consultant, one of the desired outcomes is feasibility study, a completed RFQ, RFP in 6 months, and then, Councilmember Lee, you wanted to add the, understand the site selection process.
Revamping the website as well.
Okay. And then you also wanted a I drew a blank, a quick snapshot of the city for marketing. Okay, anything else?
Where were we on the workforce? Can you refresh my memory? We had talked a lot about working with Smithville with the workforce. Where are we on that?
We continue to refer to Smithville. We continue to refer to all of our partners. I don't know that we've had any one specific group or party asking us. We continue to work with the school districts. I can get some stats for you on how many actual Bastropians attended.
Weren't we going to expand our engagement with the Smithville workforce group? I thought we had
Not
talked-
Smithville, the Community Action Agency group.
Oh, no, I remember us talking about working more closely with the Smithville workforce group.
yes, if they need space or, anytime they need something, they can call. But actually, we've not had a whole lot of communication with Smithville Workforce in the last 2 months.
Okay.
I think it was at our joint meeting, you talked about there was a 4-part series that you were going to be teaching.
Yes,
And-
if we can get past the insurance requirement.
And so would that be done before this fiscal year? And is there
Yes.
plans to do it again the
Yes.
next year? Because I would think that would be a part of the work plan as well.
Yes, okay. Educational series.
And with the statistics of how many people came and, that kind of thing. And
Yes.
is doing it in fiscal year 25 in the budget? Is that a part of the performance
It's in the
services
fiscal
agreement?
24 budget.
Did you plan it for the fiscal
Yes,
25 budget?
it's in education and training. Let me pull that up.
Okay.
It is in. We have business retention and expansion, 75,000. We have SBA loan, education series for small business, and any additional loans.
It just seems, if it's already in the budget,
Yep.
it seems like you're agreeable to adding it to the work plan so that those things are tied together.
Yes. I think that's, I will expand number 3 to make sure I isolate that specifically. And really to the executive committee's points about you need to advertise it. Like you talked about it, you need to advertise it. We need to make sure it's there. And I'd love to advertise it once we have a finalized contract. I will say it's off of Charlie's plate, and Allison did send it back, and so now we're just waiting for a return.
And just to add
Oh, the
what
job is posted on TML also, sorry.
Sorry. Just to add what Cheryl was referring to with the Smithville Workforce Training Center, if that's what they're called now, and the combined community action, and then the Bastrop workforce. I think that what we had determined is that the resources that they provide, we didn't want to provide those resources as well. And so it was going to be a two-way referral for them. So I think that we could, put that into our marketing also, that those services are provided
No
through
resource
a third
duplication.
party. Yeah.
Be sure to use their logo kind of thing. Okay. We are, unless the board has any additional questions. My one question to you is bring it back next month? Okay.
Okay. Very good. All right, we will then move on to Section 4, regular business and presentations. 4A, approval of meeting minutes from the regular BEDC board meeting of April 15th, 2024, and the special board meeting of May 8th, 2024.
Chair Spencer,
Yes.
I'd like to make a request for a change on the May 8th special meeting minutes.
Right.
To make the minutes consistent with how we do those for city council as well. I'd like to list the person's name for public comments and strike the topic that was discussed.
Okay. I don't particularly have an issue with that. Does anybody else have any comments they'd like to add?
Were those the comments that were specific to MoCA, if I'm recalling? No?
No, it was Mayor Lyle Nelson
Oh.
who spoke during citizens' comments.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
So you want to do it more like the city council does theirs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't, okay. All right. Well, then, if we're going to strike that, then I guess we need a motion to strike that and then approve it. Is that correct, Charlie?
I would say approve the one set of minutes and allow me to edit the second set of minutes and bring them back to the next meeting. Okay?
That works.
Okay.
We still need a motion. Yeah, okay, well, I'll look for a motion then to,
So
I'll make
motion-
a motion to approve May 8th.
No, April 15th.
I thought she was saying she was going to bring those back. Oh, May 8th is the one you're going to bring back. Sorry, I apologize. April 15th, to approve April 15th.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Very good, the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now it's the fun time here to receive the financial report for the period ending April 2024.
Forward. Here are the April financial statements for the year-to-date ended April 30th. You can see that our total revenues are strong. We are ahead slightly over prior year. You'll see in a couple of slides, though, our sales tax, of course, is lower because we decreased the amount that we receive, but our expenses have been pretty level. We did have a big increase in capital improvements. That is the expenses related to financial aid. And it is almost done, so. This is for the month ended April 30th. You can see that our April sales tax actual, I allocated the decrease of 1.39 million across the year. We were down just a little bit on sales tax from projection, but we were very aggressive in our, we were a little more aggressive in our projection, and so we're fine. We were actually ahead of prior year. We received more than in prior year. Of course, it's cut for the reduction.
I'm sorry, Edie, sorry, this is Edie McElwain, our finance director. So April projected the 114,000 is the reduced and then allocated tranche. Okay, so we were
Correct.
down $1,200 or so, $1,250, okay.
And then, of course, our capital improvements, we had a large payment in April. So that total amount budgeted was allocated evenly over 12 months. So we are still on track with that line item.
So
I think this is
projected
in there twice.
230,000, actual 276,000, because that includes a large payment to Financial Way.
Correct.
Other than that, it would have been in line.
This is our sales tax slide. You can see that our sales tax allocation was decreased by 0.3% at the beginning of April. We anticipate our sales tax receipts to be approximately 65% less than they were in the prior year based on this, which you can see we were at 63.52% less than prior year. We did actually receive, if the allocation had been the same as last month, we would have been greater, a little bit higher than we received last year. So we're still in a good place. This has not changed from the prior month. These are all of our restricted projects, the Fiesta, AEI Tech, Mocha Adventures. And then this says March 31st. I caught this. The numbers are all correct. It should be April 30th. The business park improvements, you can see the number has increased, the expended amount has increased from prior month. That was the financial way expenditures that were included that we talked about. And that is everything.
So I'd like to point out to the board, the Accutronic Site Ready, that 1230, that's actually a number that had come to us from Doucette if we were going to get Accutronic completely shovel-ready. When we reviewed the contract and found that the ceiling is $1 million, so that number is going to be changed to $1 million, which will better the bottom line by $230,000.
Okay, we will now move to 4C, discussion and possible action regarding the BEDC's revolving loan fund, including possible edits to the document and the appointment of members to the RLF committee. Frank, why don't you talk about what you're going to be working on with?
So we have a meeting set with Rick Womble. Rick Womble is the market president for Roscoe Bank. They're the ones that initially gave us the funding for that project. We need to set with Rick, just kind of, we did have a meeting set up earlier, but we had to cancel that meeting. But we want to discuss with them about being actually the actual loan originator as opposed to the EDC. So in other words, we have that money that's set aside for the funding. We're proposing to put it into a certificate deposit to guarantee those funds, and then the loan originator would be Roscoe Bank. So the loan would go through Roscoe Bank. We would monitor. I did go through some of the underwriting, the initial proposal, but a lot of that needs to be reviewed and looked at, and after which we would just get with Rick and how we want to partner with that project.
Okay, and then this item also has the edits to the document because there is a subcommittee to review. And as your document states, there's no how that was given to that. So the discussion about, is that an appointment by the chair, by power given to him by the board? Do we have to bring back every single appointment? So Chair Spencer, if you want to go through that.
Yeah, what I'd like to do, I mean, I'm glad that that Director Eubank is going to be talking with the bank about that. But yes, what I'd like to suggest is that we just appoint the executive committee to be the RLF revolving fund committee, if you will, to review those loan documents whenever they come to us. It would just be easier to have that completed and out of the way so we can take a look at it.
I did want to add, Chair Spencer, that as a result of the conversation we had last week, it is on our website. And once we get everything kind of pinned down, we're going to do an article or a press release on the whole program so that, I mean, I don't want a bunch of people coming to us until we know exactly what the process is.
Okay, so I take it then that we're going to wait to see what the new edits are going to be in the documents. We can bring that up in the next board meeting, and then we can go ahead and start with that, and then changing to the website so we can put out the information, correct?
I did have a question, comment on one of the red lines, one of the edits. It's in it's a bunch of different page numbers here, but it's in section 9, page 5 of the document, and page 27 of our packet. And it's item number 6. It says recipients, and the new word is will be required instead of may be required to maintain property insurance on buildings and contents for full replacement value. And then if required, insurance policy shall name the BEDC as the lender loss payee. And so my question was, especially for businesses like we have downtown, I would guess a majority of them are renters. And I'm not certain that it's, I mean, maybe it is, but it doesn't seem standard for a renter to have property insurance for the building, and this seems to require it. So I just at least kind of wanted to ask the question and see if that's intended.
It is intended, and the renter normally has to have renter's insurance and then commercial
Well,
liability.
agreed about the renter's insurance, that I would expect, but it says property insurance. Is that, we're not talking about the building, because it says property insurance on buildings and contents for full replacement value. So I'm contemplating asking a renter to maintain property insurance on the building might not be appropriate, or is it appropriate? I mean,
Yeah, that's kind of pretty standard when you go into a commercial lease situation.
Right.
You can speak to that as well, but, you know, you have to have insurance to cover anything that may happen in your location. Yeah, they don't want you to tear up the building. So it
Yeah.
is two policies, you're right, because the owner usually keeps it, and then the renter has to keep it as well, and that's pretty standard fare.
okay, no problem then. I just, looked at it, say, as a tenant, as a, at an apartment. You live in an apartment, you get insurance for your belongings, but not for the building, and I just was concerned this might be excessive, but if it's not, that's fine.
Yeah, yes.
Actually, new renter's insurance requires you to also, if there's damage to the building, your proportionate share of the building.
Mhm.
It's pretty aggressive these days. And I think for this type of loan also, because it is a very risky loan also, I mean, we're sort of reducing the risk, but it's protection of taxpayer dollars. So.
Yeah. Any further discussion on this? Okay, very good. At this point in time, we're going to go ahead and go into executive
Oh.
session. Oh, sorry.
You're looking for a motion that
Oh, yeah.
allows you to,
Sorry. Yeah, so I'm going to be looking for a motion for the chair to be able to appoint the members of the executive committee as the revolving loan fund committee.
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right. All those opposed? Very good, the motion carries. Thank you, Sylvia. Okay, now,
Do you want a motion to table to the next meeting to bring it back, or do you not need that? Okay.
good point.
sorry, for the record, no.
All right, we are going to go, before we go into the public hearing, we're going to go into executive session. We have a few things to discuss before we come out into the 4E. So the Bastrop EDC Board of Directors will meet in a closed executive session pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, to discuss the following. Number one, Section 551.087, Economic Development Negotiations regarding Performance Agreement and Purchase Contract, Keytronic Real Estate, Inc. Number two, Section 551.087, Economic Development Negotiations regarding a letter of intent from Project Electric Lion. Number three, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney regarding the performance agreement with Project Fiesta. After that, the BEDC Board of Directors will reconvene into open session to discuss, consider, and/or take any action necessary related to the executive session noted herein. It is now 5:59. Okay, it is 7:29 p.m. on Monday, May the 20th. The Bastrop EDC Board of Directors will reconvene into open session to discuss, consider, and/or take any action necessary related to the executive session noted herein. And we are going to actually skip and go to 4D first. Oh,
And really, we need to do
sorry.
item 3 in the executive session. Because there's not another time.
We're doing that first?
There's not another time to talk about it. It's not on the agenda.
So yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so we need to go ahead and need the motion on the Project Fiesta that we discussed first, correct? 5B. As long as you're okay with it. Okay, so 4D first then? 4E. All right, sorry about that. We're going to skip over to 4E. Public hearing, consideration, and possible action on resolution number R-2024-0006 regarding the application for variance from the BEDC 6th amended protective covenants for the Bastrop Business and Industrial Park submitted by Accutronics. Do we have anybody here? Oh, sorry, we're officially opening up a public hearing then on the variances from BEDC 6th amended protective covenants. Is there anybody here that wishes to offer? Angela, has anybody signed up to respond yet? Thank you.
I don't have any sheets on my desk. You want me to get up and go look, see if...
Okay, very good. Okay, now then we are officially closing this section. Thank you. All right, now we'll move over to...
Action on the application.
So where?
4E2.
Yeah, 4E2. There we go. 4E2, action on Accutronic application for variances from the BEDC 6th amended protective covenants for the Bastrop Business and Industrial Park.
I make a motion for R-2024-06, approval for the variance with the amendment subject to striking section 2E.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries. Okay, let's see here now, 4D. Consideration and possible action on resolution R-2024-0005, authorizing an amendment to the real estate purchase contract and the economic development performance agreement with Accutronics.
R-2024-05, make a motion to approve subject to the amendment to section 2 requiring the adding the language of reimbursement upon acceptance of completion by the city or applicable entity.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. All right. I believe that is it. Nope.
5A3, gotta go back to Project Fiesta.
Ah, thank you. 5A3, Section 551, well, this is on performance agreement with Project Fiesta.
Okay, section 551.071, motion to direct staff and general counsel to send notice of default and invocation of remedies.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those not in favor? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
We are adjourned at 7:34.